Today we're going to talk about Masterclass. What is it? How much does it cost? And is it worth it? I'll also give you my top 5 recommendations for courses within there to definitely check out. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, best-selling co-author of the Snow and Her Seven Seals series, and on this channel, we talk all about romance writing, specifically for newbie and aspiring romance authors. So if this sounds like you or something you might be interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. I post new videos every Monday. Now, what is Masterclass? It is simply a course website. It is also available as an app on your phone, but it is curated content. Now, what I mean by curated content is it is very different from Skillshare or Udemy, where there are no barriers to entry on who can upload material and how that material is presented. So you'll have a wide range of courses on those platforms. Versus Masterclass, which has gone out and specifically curated celebrities. We're talking Diane von Furstenberg. We'll talk about fashion. Gordon Ramsay will talk about cooking. Who else? Neil Gaiman will talk about writing. So within the creative arts, they have chosen the best and the brightest people who obviously are not going to start a YouTube tutorial-like channel like this. And they have pulled them together in a professional setting, and they've taken all their information and they've actually done a really good job of also providing workbooks along with the lesson. Masterclass is $180 for the annual pass. They also have an option where you can pay for a single course for $90. Clearly that's ridiculous, and no one is going to pay $90 when you could just pay twice as much and get an annual pass. So I think the pricing is set up so that you feel better about the fact that you've paid for an annual pass. So if you like even 1 or 2 courses, it's worth it to just go ahead and do the annual pass. I've had it. I love it. I find a lot of value in it. So number 3, would I get it? I totally think it's worth it. Now, once you have it, there are so many courses in there. I mean, I think Serena Williams is even talking about how to play tennis, and they have someone else talking about how to play basketball. So if you are an author and you are just wanting to learn how to write better, and we're talking about commercial genre fiction, no idea about how to write literary fiction at all. But for commercial genre fiction, here are my top 5 recommendations. So my first one is R.L. Stine. He's actually a children's writer, but I promise he's the best. Like, out of all those courses on Masterclass, I was dying to listen to his next lesson. I listened to it in the car. I listened to it when I was walking. I think I even played it really loud while I was taking a shower just because he's so entertaining. And he does a really great job of explaining his thought process and his genius. And, I went out and read a ton of his books after that, which I had read a few, but not as many as I probably should have. But because he's explained it in Masterclass, you can see how that works. And the biggest takeaway is he says to start with the end first and then work backwards from there to figure out all of your plot twists and everything else. The second one is James Patterson, and his biggest takeaway was, actually he had 2. The first one is outlines. He does everything with a very detailed, elaborate outline. He will spend way more time on the outline than he does on the actual writing. And in case you didn't get the point of that lesson, he has a second or third lesson after that that still talks more about how to do outlines. That was the main point. I really like that because I love doing outlines, and I do spend way more time in outlines than I do in the actual writing as well. The other takeaway that he has is if you want to write in different genres, and Jonathan Mayberry talks about this all the time, you can do it. So he says, I don't want to be stuck where people say you only write thrillers. He's like, what I write are page turners. I write things that people can't put down, that they're dying to read the next page. So just think about taking all of your skills. And if you want to write a space opera after this, you can totally do that. And then you can come back and write a paranormal romance. So that was a really helpful, I think, an inspirational takeaway from him. The third one is Shonda Rhimes. So she is actually the showrunner for Grey's Anatomy, and she was the showrunner for Scandal. And if you don't know what the showrunner is, there's a huge script of writers on any given TV show or a movie, and the showrunner is the topmost writer, the person in charge, and usually, sometimes not always, the creator, but she did create both of those TV shows. And the most useful part about hers I would say necessarily the lessons, which were very well done, but when she broke down the Scandal pilot and Grey's Anatomy, she did a great job of explaining why she took out certain things or scenes that she was thinking about and added ones in later. So you have a before and after view, actually she gives the script to you and then she walks you through it. The fourth one is Steve Martin. He was talking about being a comedian, which I know has nothing to do with writing, but I actually got a lot out of it because he was talking about how he was an introvert and, most comedians are, and he didn't have any talent and he really wasn't sure what he was doing in the beginning. So he said it doesn't matter. And, if you can come at it from a different angle than someone who maybe is an expert in it or has some natural born talent, you can possibly find something that is an original idea or a different way to look at it. And that's going to add a lot of value. The fifth one was Samuel L. Jackson. Now, he was talking about acting, which again, is useful for writing because he talked about the whole thought process he goes through on character development. I think that was the most important lesson on how he makes sure it's a fully formed person. And so even though the writer has given him something like some information to work with and backstory, he develops a full backstory and he talks about how he thinks about how his characters relate to other people and what his characters are really thinking inside their head versus what they say. And the most important part was he talked about his character in Die Hard. Not sure if it was Die Hard 2 or 3, but he talked about how his character did the ordinary in extraordinary situations, and that made his characters more relatable because I know sometimes, especially me, I go off on tangents with something crazy and heroic that my character would do, but he's saying, if you just stick to the basics, that's going to be more relatable to your audience than going out and doing something crazy. So those are my top recommendations. So just to recap, Masterclass is a curated set of information that you can access on your computer. Also, there is an app. It's $180 for the year for an annual pass to get all access, or $90 per course, which again doesn't make any sense. And 3, yes, it is totally worth it. And my top 5 recommendations are R.L. Stine, James Patterson, Shonda Rhimes, Steve Martin, and Samuel L. Jackson. All right, I hope that was helpful. And let me know in the comments below too, what's your favorite masterclass and the biggest takeaway that you got from it. All right, I hope everyone's having a fabulous day and I will see you guys next week. Bye.